A former Maryland mayor who was well-known LGBTQ activist convicted earlier in the year of heinous CP case was sentenced to 30 years in prison on Monday. Patrick, who resigned as mayor in College Park, Maryland on March 2nd before his arrest, pled guilty to 104 charges related to CP as part of a deal struck with prosecutors. He was sentenced to 150 years total, with all but 30 years suspended, but still will be eligible for parole in 7.5 years under state law. The Washington Post reported that the conviction came after investigators linked an account sharing illicit images to his government email address. Quote, I do sense remorsefulness. And this is coming from Prince George's County Circuit Court Judge Karen Mason. She also stated that, and I do know you take responsibility. Authorities state that the 48-year-old uploaded and shared dozens of photos and videos depicting explicit CP images, including rape of pubescent boys by adults, to social media apps in January. It was also reported that the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children notified Prince George's County Police Department of the social media. Through their investigation, police determined a social media account with the screen name Skippy MD belonged to Patrick. By means of subpoena, investigators found that Patrick's College Park government email address was listed as the recovery email for the Kick account. Patrick's phone number and home IP were linked to the account, according to authorities, who state that the ex-mayor used virtual private networks to mask his location when accessing the account, and more explicit images were found on the social media app Telegram. Court records show that Patrick was indicted in March by a grand jury of 80 counts of possessing an intent to distribute CP, which were amplified to 140 counts in May through a suspending indictment. He pled guilty in August to all 60 counts of distribution of CP, 40 of possession of CP, and 40 of possessing CP with the intent to distribute. Of those minors depicted in the hundreds of photos and videos Patrick possessed and shared, law enforcement identified 52 victims, some of whom are now adults. In collaboration with the Justice Department's Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force program and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Impact statement read in court details that they struggle with anxiety, paranoia, poor sleep, trust issues, and a sense of safety. And some stated that they have been stalked and forced to move their current families and children of their own after being exposed as victims of online exploitation. The judge cited that Patrick's own past as a victim of abuse and also heard declarations of support from 16 people in the courtroom who spoke about Patrick's history of public service before deciding to refer the former mayor to an institution, a treatment-oriented maximum security prison in Maryland. Patrick himself addressed the courtroom Monday to apologize. Quote, I know I contributed to that, and I am deeply, deeply sorry. I recognize the damage I have caused. I want to be the person they know me to be. I love you too very much. And that was Patrick addressing his husband. There's a problem here, and I'm just going to state this. So why is it that his husband wasn't implicated on anything? I'm pretty sure that the husband may have known or has seen some things or maybe interested in some things, because that's usually how it works. Usually if one is interested, it's like somebody, if you have a couple and one of them is an alcoholic or somebody's a drug addict, usually it will extend to the other person somehow in another way, shape, or form. Usually that's what happens, especially when you're around somebody long enough. Their characteristics or their interests will subtly and surely become part of your very own interest, even though that was, you weren't, directly into drugs, you weren't directly into alcohol, you might not have been into smoking weed and different things of that nature, but now you are. Right? So why is it that they didn't decide to go through the husband's emails? Why didn't they go through the husband's phone and his apps and everything that he looks into? Like I said before, everything needs to be questioned. Everything needs to be looked at. everything needs to be questioned and everything needs to be looked at. For them to only specifically look at one person is completely irresponsible. They did not fully do their job. You're looking at him because he's a government official. Fine, no problem. He's a person in power. He's a person in position. He can make laws, rules, and regulations, some for the good, some for the worse. I understand that. I get that. But he has somebody who was specifically associated with him. So why is it that you're not going at that person as well as if they are an accessory? Because he is. Because we've seen in too many court cases, too many documentaries where the spouse of a person will basically cover for the spouse. They will specifically cover. They will hide evidence. They will burn evidence. They will destroy evidence so that the police or whoever is investigating cannot do a proper investigation and follow the procedures of which they need to follow in order to bring people to justice. So I don't understand why they're beating around the bush on this. I'm not sure why it is that whenever these things are brought up and you find out that people are married, I'm not sure why it is that they never investigate everybody else that is connected. And then on top of that, not even just that, you literally have this man's phone and his email, which means that there are other people that he is connected to that he has more than likely shared and sent these images directly to. You could go after the people on a Telegram or a Kick. You could sit up there and set up a sting. But yet they refuse to do this. And I keep trying to tell people, it's like, yeah, people in a sense are doing some type of good, but you got to remember it's profit and it's a business at the end of the day. If you completely solve or cure a problem, a lot of people are out of a job. So now here we are where we got this dude deciding that this is something that he wanted to do while being a government official, knowing that he's in a seat of power. They wanted to magically bring up the fact that he was a victim himself, which I don't see what that has to do with anything at this moment in time right now, because you have more than enough time to go out there and get the proper therapy if that realistically was the case. You're 48 years old, almost 50. You mean to tell me you allowed all of this time to go by and you didn't seek out any type of therapy for whatever it is that you specifically went through? So instead of doing that, you decided to then go venture into this. Now, no, you're a grown man. You got a full-on husband, whole household, government job. You decided instead of going for things that are, directly within your realm at your age, instead of going for stuff like that, you wanted to go for this. That was a decision that you made. That was a voluntary, consensual decision that you made. Nobody coerced you. Nobody forced you. Nobody told you to do this. You, a almost 50-year-old man who was an activist, decided that this is what you wanted to do. All the images that you basically got on your computer of people when they were younger, they're now full-fledged adults now. But you got pictures and images of them of things specifically taking place. Do you understand how some of those things can ruin somebody's life? They directly try to put that, in the past. They try to forget about it. They might be in a full-fledged marriage or whatnot or whatever. And now, they got to worry about these images being, recirculated or people finding out about this. Now, that's going to make them feel a certain type of way because people are going to look at them differently now, after they done already buried this for themselves. That's ridiculous. That's 100% ridiculous. And again, like I said before, people got to look at this. People got to view both sides of the whole situation because, like I said before, yeah, they might be with the police or whoever that be working these investigations. They might be doing a little bit of good, but remember, they can't cure or fix the whole problem because if they do, they don't make any money. Nobody gets paid anymore. They could go through and actually, round up and start locking up a lot of these dudes, but they can't do that because it's going to mess with the money. That's going to mess with the court system. Like I said, everything is linked. Everything is about money at the end of the day. So that's why you got people here like Patrick that are able to get away and pretty much do these things consistently. And like I said before, he's not going to really serve, any type of time. right? They said that he is sentenced to 30 years, but he's eligible for parole in 7.5. So he ain't gonna be there for that long. He'll be getting out in probably his 50s. Like I said, you heard what the female judge said. I believe that you're taking responsibility for this. I see that you're acknowledging this. I understand and see that you understand that you did some wrongdoing. Wow, where do they find these judges? These sympathizers, where do you find them? Because I don't hear the same type of sympathy given directly to the victims. You didn't hear the judge say anything about the victims. You didn't hear her try to give an olive branch, try to reach out directly to them, try to speak directly for them. She's speaking only for Patrick. And then Patrick got the nerve to be in the courtroom talking about, I love you, directly to his husband, knowing the fact that you're doing all of this wrongdoing. You're doing stuff that you don't got no business doing. And like I said, the husband needs to be looked at and questioned as well, too. But I digress. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section and about everything that I stated and listed.